Welcome back. Today we are going to learn all about Meda and Flow. So this is chapter 5, Meda and Flow, the Forest Children. Flow, I'll race you to that tree over there, said Meda, pointing to one of the maple trees. Okay, I said confidently. I was one of the fastest runners among the girls of my age in our village. I wondered why Meda was even challenging to me to a race. Immediately, Meta flew like an arrow straight towards her target. She was clearly hoping that a quick start would give her an advantage over me. However, like a shooting star that bursts across the night sky, I was on her heels in no time. Just before we reached a tree, I passed her and touched the tree trunk. I won! I exclaimed. You're pretty fast, though, Meda, I admitted. Considering you are a year younger than me, that was quite a race. Yes, this time next year, when we return to the maple tree forest, I'll be able to beat you, Meda said confidently, while at the same time grinning at me. I grinned back. I'll still be a year older than you, I said, rising to the challenge. I know, you'll always be that, but I have a feeling that this time next year I will be taller than you, she replied as if she were stating a fact. Well, we'll just see about that, I replied as I eyed her feet. They were already bigger than mine, and she was only a thumb size shorter than me. I couldn't help thinking that she might be right, but I wasn't going to admit it. This was my favorite time of year by far. It was a time of year when the eagles build their spring nests. The chickadees made their strange, eerie call in the early morning. The snow was melting all around in the tree buds were emerging daily. This was also the time of year when my family, along with my uncles and aunts and their children, set up camp in the maple tree forest. We did this every year at the beginning of spring. We left our summer and our winter village and returned to our camp in the forest. In the fall, we camped near the fields we planted our crops. So I'm going to look over here at the caption, and what's this picture of? Flo and Meda race to the large maple tree. So you can see it, and you can kind of guess which one's Flo, which one's Meda. We always returned to the same maple forest camp. It was a good-sized clearing encircled by a large number of maple trees and birch trees. We returned here each year to collect the sap from the maple trees and turn it into sweet syrup that we all loved so much. This year, we were lucky. The winter winds and the frequent snowfalls had not destroyed our wigwam frames from the previous year. We only had to wrap the deerskin that we had carried with us around the frames. After we made our campfire, the children had a chance to play before the real work began. Once we were settled, the men would use their axes to make small, deep cuts in the trunk of the maple trees. Then we would wait for the sap to trickle out. As it did, the women and children would funnel the sap into birch baskets or clay pots. We used carved pieces of cedar wood to hollowed out sumac stems as funnels. So you can see right here, they're building up their wigwams. It says the signs of spring in the forest. And I mean, for me, the sign of spring is that the snow looks like it's melting and the birds are out building their nests. Sap from the maple tree looks like water when it first trickles out from inside the tree. Once the sap is collected, my mother and aunts cook it in a clay pot. Sometimes they put the pot right on the open campfire. Other times they put red-hot rocks right into the clay pots. After you've cooked it a while, the sap turns into sweet syrup. If you keep on cooking it, the sap turns into sugar. During this time, the older girls also collect birch bark. They strip the bark from the trees and pound it until it can be shaped and molded into storage containers or dishes. Guys, remember, they don't have anything like Tupperware or anything to put it in plastic bags. They had to use what they had around them. The men and boys busy themselves hunting and fishing. In the evenings, we all spend time around the campfire exchanging stories. Come on, Flo, yelled Meda. who had wandered off to watch the men at work. I can smell dinner cooking. She was right. The succulent smell of deer meat wafted up into the crisp evening air. Race you back, I announced. This time I took off like an arrow shot from my father's bow. So over here the caption says, everyone in the camp works to tap and cook maple syrup. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.